Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, you can get a chance to do this again. It's always got to live its own, but either way, though, we're live. We're live into the StreamYard Studios. One time. There we go. Welcome into the StreamYard Studios, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jake slash the Fighting Now. Which, by the way, you guys get a chance to follow me on the Fighting Now. Real quick, before we get things underway, I do want to go ahead and send a shout out to StreamYard. In case you guys don't know what StreamYard is, it's pretty much an incredible platform for you to get to make your own podcast, do interviews, or even have businesses. Either way, though, I encourage you guys to check out StreamYard Live. They have incredible bundles. You can try the free one out and see what you think about it, or you can try the other bundles out, which is really awesome as far as the case. And also, you know what we got to do. We got to go ahead and send a huge shout out to my great friends at RMGFX1. You guys can go ahead and check them out, rmgfx1.com, and you guys can get a chance to buy some Fighting Now gear. I know we had some people that just now got their stuff in, which I will definitely show you guys all that on the 3:30 interview with Anna Toole. But yet, I definitely do want to appreciate all those who have bought the merchandise. But if you guys want to get just to buy your own merchandise, I encourage you guys to check it out, rmgfx1.com, and use the promo code FIGHTNOW to save 10% off your entire purchase. All right, we got that. And also, I do want to send a shout out to not one, not two, but three incredible podcasts. So let's go ahead and show them some love that they deserve. That is Mom's Basement MMA. You guys can go ahead and check them out at moms_basement MMA on Instagram. And of course, you guys can go ahead and check out some of the merchandise. They have incredible merchandise. And then you'll eventually here soon, I'm going to get me some Mom's Basement merchandise for sure. Next up, we have Liz with a Z podcast. I know Lisa Solar has been getting very busy as of late. I know she's ready to go back out there in the fighting style, so hopefully we'll get a chance to see her back in the cage. Also, of course, last but certainly not least, we have In the Booth by Air Media Productions. You guys can go ahead and check that out on Instagram, or you guys can check them out at whatever podcast you guys can listen to. Check out In the Booth by Air Media Productions. They're doing so incredible, to say the least. So shout out to all three of these amazing podcasts. And I gotta say, and speaking of podcasts, which let me go ahead and send a shout out to where credit's due. Shout out to the Jay and Trey podcast by TNC Sports Talk. You guys can go ahead and check them out on TNC Sports Talk, on Instagram, on Twitter, and you guys can go ahead and just check out all the streams on YouTube. Is that if you're pretty much out, you guys can go ahead and just check them out on Instagram, or not Instagram, sorry, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I think Google Podcasts as well. So you guys do not want to miss out on all things Jay and Trey podcast. We just got done with our show, and I gotta tell you, it was an amazing show to say the least. And shout out to Justin and Trey. If you guys have followed me on Instagram on Fighting Now, you know what they did. I'm not going to show you that belt. Maybe later on. But anywho, man, what a week of interviews that we've been having here, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday we had Shamir Pursua, and last night we had Miss Kina, and of course today, and I want to use this as a hashtag. Use the hashtag Big Interview Fridays. That is hashtag Big Interview Fridays. The reason why I want to say that is because this is going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be wonderful, to say the least, because today, let's go ahead and talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. We have Miss Anna Crutchfield that's going to be joining me up into the StreamYard studio momentarily. And then right at 3:30, we have the only Miss Anna Toole that's going to be joining me at 3:30. So yet, you guys do not want to miss out on this and the next interview coming up here very shortly. I'm very excited, to say the least, that it's going to be incredible. It's going to be awesome, and I think we're all going to be having such an incredible time, to say the least. I feel like all these interviews that I've got a chance to do have been incredible, have been fun, and I do want to send a shout out to everyone who has been a part of these interviews all week. And then last week, I still got a lot more I got to be prepared for, and just to show you all the amount of work that I put in with the interviews, I have like about 4 pages worth of questions and notes that I had to write down, which it's going to be very, very awesome, to say the least. It's going to be very, very awesome. But yet, let's go ahead and talk about our guest today. It is Miss Anna Crutchfield. She just got done with a fight. She won by unanimous decision at Cage of the Titans I hope I said that right. Shout out to them. But she has so much in store for her. So yeah, let's go ahead and help me welcome in to her to the StreamYard Studios, Miss Anna Crutchfield.
Hi, what's up, Jake? Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Busy to say the least. But hey, you seem like you've been enjoying yourself all week since your last fight, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's nice to be back in the warmer weather. So I got back here and I got to celebrate with my team. And then, I mean, right back to the grind, right back in the gym as normal on Monday. But yeah, it's definitely been kind of a relaxed week. So it's nice to take a little break.
It's nice to be able to get a chance to take away from all the fight week and all the training. At least you get a chance to just enjoy yourself. And first of all, I do want to tell you congratulations on the win last Saturday by unanimous decision. I keep stuttering. I don't know why, but either way, though. But you know what? Hey, you've been doing a lot of incredible things. So I mean, and the first question I have for you is, I mean, take us through that fight. Take us through what happened at Cajun Titans. I mean, I know you had a lot to be prepared for. I mean, you had some media to talk to, and of course the weigh-ins. So take us through that whole week that you had.
Well, we got into town Thursday, and of course, like whenever I got off the plane, like I'm from Alabama. Well, originally I'm from South Carolina, but I live in Alabama now, so I'm used to like cold for us is 50s, you know. So we got in Thursday, and there was like a snowstorm. So first thing I had to do is like go buy more sweatpants and stuff like that. But it was really cool because we got there. We went to SBG East Coast, so I got to see the different SBGs and meet some of the coaches there. It's where my former, or not my former, my teammate, he's the former Cage Titan champ, current. I'm sorry, he just won again. He won his belt back. But anyways, he's from Massachusetts. He's my teammate. So we got to go see that gym. We did our shakeout there. And then Fridays, like the weigh-ins, the way the Cage Titans ran it was super cool. We got there at 11 a.m., got to step immediately on the scales as soon as you got there. They did like their live weigh-ins, their pictures and everything. See the doctor on Friday.
Hmm.
So that all ran super smooth. They had that like down pat. That way on Saturday, once we got there, we just had to be at the venue like an hour early, which is super cool because I know here in like Alabama, we're at the venue like 3.5 hours before the fights even start. So
I was gonna say, I mean, but between this fight and the fight they had at B2, correct me if I'm wrong, was it more enjoyable with Cage of the Titans than it was back at B2?
B2, they ran. I mean, they run a tight ship. They put on amazing shows. But I would say like the energy at this venue was just different. Like
Yeah.
the warm up rooms were huge, nice, huge mats for us. I walked in backstage. They had Muay Thai shorts waiting on you, a T-shirt, your own huge picture of you, a snack bag, your gloves are waiting on you in your chair. Like it was super well ran. And then, of course, like everyone there was just overly nice to me. And I mean, I was fighting in her hometown. Like I knew going in, like they're bringing me in to lose. Like I knew that going in, but going there, especially like after the fight, everybody was awesome.
Yeah. Well, hey, I do have a picture I do want to get a chance to show you, and talk about this moment that you had. You and your teammate, you're representing SBG. I mean, how did it feel to get a chance to win on the same card with your teammate, especially with how much you guys have prepared for both fights?
Yeah, I mean, it was super awesome because not only is Arthur my teammate, but he's also my roommate. And I mean, literally, like, he's my big brother. He moved from Massachusetts and I moved from South Carolina the same week. We both moved to Alabama and we moved into a house with a bunch of fighters. So we immediately became super close. And then I know how hard he's been working for this fight. And we've just been preparing like this entire camp together. So it was super cool. And not only were we teammates, but we also fought teammates. So we got to go in there and walk out 2-0 for SPG. So it was really cool.
I mean, did it ever feel like, hey, the weight is lifted off the shoulders? The fact that you got a chance to represent, with you, SBG in Birmingham and him with that area, did it ever feel like the weight of the world was off your shoulders? The fact that you both just won on the same card? I mean, take us through that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, so much preparation goes into this. And I know that coming from the camp I was in before and then the camp he was in before, we just both felt like we weren't getting everything we needed.
Hmm.
So when we came here, like I really felt like my entire game just kind of came together. So to be able to go on the cage, and this time it was like a little bit more grappling based, and it was me controlling the grappling base part of it, which is a different side from what I've seen in my past fights. Like most of the time, I'm just known as that striker. You know what I mean? So it was really awesome to go in there and just like see everything like paid off. And then, I mean, immediately when I walked out of the cage, we're like, all right, Arthur's next. We walk up there. I get to make the walk with Arthur as he's going down in the cage. He has a 5-round war, and then like he wins the belt, and the entire crowd, like the energy in this building was insane. So it was so cool.
Well, hey, real quick, shout out to Cage of the Titans because I know they've been putting on these incredible events, so to speak. So talk about your team with SVG in Birmingham. I mean, how long have you been with them?
Coming up right on my 1-year anniversary with them. I moved here last February. But like I said, they've kind of formed me into a complete martial artist. I came from a really awesome camp before that was very striking based. Obviously, I started boxing at age. I had my first fight when I was 12. So I've had a very extensive career in boxing and kickboxing. But my grappling just wasn't there. I wrestled in high school, so I knew like out in the open wrestling, but there's a difference between cage wrestling, MMA wrestling, and just regular like takedown wrestling. You know what I mean? So it was really just putting that all together and molding me into a complete martial artist. And I really feel like that's what they've done. And I couldn't ask for a better staff of coaches and teammates here. It's incredible.
I mean, you know what they say, iron sharpens iron, that's for sure, and they definitely train some incredible fighters like you. Did you ever have any struggles with the wrestling? I mean, I know you've had to work on it for quite a bit, correct me if I'm wrong, but how long did it take you for you to finally start to get better when it comes to the wrestling part?
So the thing about it before is with the camp I was before, it wasn't very, they didn't stress it. They didn't really worry about it. They are very kickboxing based, which is awesome. But I was legit a kickboxer that went into MMA fights. So once I got clinched, I had no idea what I didn't even know I should be looking for an underhook. Like I legit had no idea what I was doing. So yeah, I mean, it like once I got here, I feel like everything, like once I was just taught and I was in that situation, and we wrestle, we do jujitsu every single day. Like we train all aspects every single day. So I feel like this past year, it's just all clicked and it's came together.
I mean, at least you don't have to worry about like once we go to a fight. It's like the last camp just taught you about striking. At least you know the basics when it comes to like the takedowns and the clinches and all of that. I mean, do you think that's helped you out a lot, especially when it comes to the cage fighting style?
Yeah, and it's definitely just having that confidence because I mean, I know I'm a world champion kickboxer and I knew that going into the fights before, but when you're scared, like you're so worried about that takedown because every time I'm throwing, they're closing distance and they're shooting, like then you're not able to strike. I wasn't able to fight my game because I was too worried about what they were going to do. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest difference now is like just having that confidence in there. Like I'm not scared to tie up with you. I know that as soon as we clinch, I'm fine. Whereas that wasn't the case before. Like when I was being clinched, I was like, no, get off, get off, get off. Like I need to strike. And here, like I know I'm safe no matter where the fight goes.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely respect that to say the least. You know what? You got a chance to start the year off with a win. I mean, where do you think you want to fight at after this fight with Cage of the Titans? Is there any place you have in mind that you want to go face someone at, or you're just waiting for whatever the opportunity comes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely whatever opportunities pop up, I'm jumping at the bit because this year I'm trying to get as much ring time and cage time as I can, just as much experience time. But yeah, I already have. I know the end of April, I just confirmed a fight. It's going to be in Kentucky, and then also at the end of March, I'm on the national team for Gamma. So we are
Ooh.
going to Amsterdam to compete in the World Championships.
Well, there you go. First of all, congratulations on that, so to speak.
Thank
And
you.
since I'm pretty much next to the Kentucky area, I would definitely go down there just to make sure I get a chance to watch you fight. Because if you guys have not got a chance to watch her fight, she's incredible. She's an amazing fighter, and especially with Cage of Titans and of course B2. I want to bring up the B2 fight where you got a chance to have what was the first round knockout, I believe, or the first round TKO. Talk
Yeah.
about that. I mean, I know it's been every fighter's dream just to be able to get a first round knockout. So take us through that fight.
Yeah, that was so awesome for me because that was, I mean, my first MMA fight since 2018. So I debuted in MMA in 2016, and then I didn't fight again until 2018 in MMA. So this was my first fight since 2018. It was my first fight with SBG. So really for me, this was my moment to prove everything. So not only did I know that I was like prepared beyond like a shadow of a doubt, like I was in, there was so many hours. Like I would be in here until 12 o'clock at night sometimes in here training, and just like no matter, every time I was on the treadmill, I was on the bags, I was in tough positions on the cage. Like I just kept telling myself, push hard now, you can push as hard as you want in that fight. Go as hard as you can now, that fight's going to be easy. So I think not only was I prepared in that aspect, but mentally I was just so prepared for this fight. And then I was in my new hometown with my new gym. I had my boyfriend in my corner. Like it was just, the hype was so big behind this fight. So to go in there, and then yeah, it was 38 seconds to the first round. It felt incredible. It was great.
Which, by the way, you guys can go ahead and check that out. I think it might be on her page or on B2's page on Instagram. Because when I first saw this, I was like, okay, I have to, like, I think it was like the first time we met. I had to send you a shout out because the amount of performance that you had. I mean, how hyped was your crew after that fight? I mean, obviously they had to be pretty hyped up and just going crazy. Am I right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, we were here in Birmingham, and I don't, like, you just have to see the way my tribe travels. Like it doesn't matter if we're in Birmingham or if we're in Nashville or wherever we are. Like our team just travels so well, and they're so supportive. But we were right here, like in Birmingham. So when I walked out, just the energy in that place and the venue we were at was like super cool. So
Yeah.
it was amazing.
You talked about, you started fighting since you were 12, and I think we want to get you to know about this, but what inspired you to start fighting? I mean, was it someone? Was it a fighter? I mean, what got you to be where you are today?
It was actually just super just a coincidence, really. There was a gym that came to my hometown, like a boxing gym that opened up, and really I went in there just to stay in shape because I ran cross country and track for my high school. I was in middle school, but I ran for the local high school. And I really just went in there to stay in shape in the off season, like maybe try something new. My dad was like super like encouraging about it. He was like, let's just try it. Let's try it. So I did. And then I immediately fell in love with it. Like the first time I ever got to spar, I was like, whoa, like this is so cool. Like I've never been hit in the face, but this is cool. And then it really just took off from there. Like I trained under a really amazing coach, Lamar Kidfire Parks. He's been my boxing coach since I was a kid. And then I met the Thompsons, Stephen and Ray Thompson, when I was like 15. And then I started training the kickboxing side there with them. And they're an amazing camp, amazing strikers. So after that, it just kind of kept evolving. It went boxing, kickboxing, and then naturally that just led into MMA.
Since you started fighting back around 12, I mean, once when you started doing this while you was in school, I mean, were all the kids intimidated by you just because you started fighting, or?
Um, I wouldn't say intimidated, but I definitely never had anyone try me. I remember in high school, there was this one girl. She like was talking about me behind my back or something like that. One of my friends had told me, and before I even like confronted her, if I said anything about it, she had like handwritten this note of apology to me, and she's like, "I didn't realize who you were. I'm so sorry." And it was super funny. Like, but yeah, I've never had anyone like really try to test me.
The fact that she had to write down just a little, I'm sorry, no, I didn't realize who you were. That goes to show that, hey, you probably might be just a little bit intimidated, especially when it comes to school, and people don't want to mess with a fighter outside of school.
But I wasn't a bully. I wasn't a bully. That sounds
No.
bullyish. I wasn't, I swear.
That is definitely awesome. So we all have a lot of motivation, and each person's motivation is different than the other. What motivates you to get up and start training? What motivates you, especially on fight week? I mean, there's got to be something.
I'm going to be a world champion one day. And like, this is right now, I'm just putting everything into place. I have a grand scheme of things and how everything's going to come together. And I know within the next 5 years, I will be signed and in the top 10 of the UFC. Like, that's not a question to me. I know that's something that's going to happen. So for me, this is just, I mean, it's what I live for. So never motivation, like that's something that comes and goes. Nobody's going to be motivated all the time. It's just knowing what I'm working towards. Like, I know that no one's going to outwork me. And that was something like early on in my, especially in my kickboxing amateur days. I'm still an amateur, but I train like a pro. I used to train like an amateur.
Well, I mean,
But that's something like I totally, I wouldn't do. Like I wasn't mentally prepared. I wouldn't like put myself in that moment. I would just take fights and like just rely on my skills and that, like, yo, I'm better than them. And I'd be
Yeah.
like completely out of shape just taking fights. But yeah, that's not a thing that really happens anymore.
I mean, even though you're an amateur, and yet if you guys seen the fight on that page, I don't care if you're up at the pro. You're still going to be recognized regardless. And it's always an honor to get a chance to have fighters like you to get a chance to join me with these interviews. There's been a lot of goals that everyone wants to achieve, and I know there's been one too many that you probably think about when it comes to like going to the UFC or just being one of those top fighters. But is there any goals you want to achieve this year?
Yeah, my goal for this year is I want to at least have 4 more amateur fights. I know it's super tough because females, it's tough to match up in general. But I just having opponents pull a lot. It's tough to get that cage time. So ideally, I'd like to have 4 more amateur fights this year. But I'm gonna do as many jujitsu tournaments, as many, like, just put myself in that world as much as I can, and then by the end of this year, turn pro.
I definitely respect that because, we all have like a certain amount of fights they want to do. So you want to do 4 more fights before you go to pro, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
I I, I definitely do respect that, Joe. And I gotta ask you this, but in your own opinion, just your own opinion, what would you say has been the most difficult part since you started fighting, since you started this whole thing? I mean, there's got to be like a lot of difficulties, to say the least.
I would say the hardest part was really after, like, that step from when I was kind of like a kid doing this
Hmm.
to, yo, is this something I want to make a life out of, like, to really try to chase as a career? Because it came that point when I graduated high school. It was like, do I go to college or do I really want to pursue this? And at that point, um, I was getting ready for the Olympic trial qualifiers for boxing. So I chose to move to Florida and just train and go into the boxing world. So at that point, I really, like, had to. It went from, like, my parents kind of doing everything to me and, like, making sure my dad making sure my meals are ready and, like, I'm on
Yeah.
weight and he's setting up fights for me, to now it was just kind of me, and, like, now I got to figure out, like, how am I going to support myself while still trying to do this and
Hmm.
everything like that. So that's where really this place SBG has been a game changer for me. It's been life changing because our head coach Chris, he really gives us a platform that we can launch off of if we are trying to make it to the big show. Because
Yeah.
before, like, especially back home, I was working a full-time job. I was a fitness coach at one gym. I lived an hour away from that gym, and I lived 45 minutes from the gym that I train at personally. So I was trying to balance a lot, and it was stressful trying to train 3-4 hours a day. I still work full time, living an hour away. So when I moved here, like, Chris immediately gave me a job. I started working at the gym so I could support myself, and I'm
Mhm.
literally here all the time now. We have 3 sessions dedicated just to our comp team every single day. So
Yeah.
I know that I've got that. I've got my money. Like, I'm doing what I love now. So it's awesome.
Hey, real quick, we do have some comments. I do want to say that shout out to Trey. He's part of the Jay and Trey podcast that I do outside of the interviews, and he wanted to say, "Hey, Anna, and Trey, thanks so much for joining in. If you guys have any questions for Miss Anna, please feel free to ask them in the comments because we're having a great time here. I'm hoping she's having an awesome time because after
Yeah,
this
for
fight,
sure.
it was like I knew immediately. I'm like, I gotta get you in here. I got to have an interview with the one and only Anna Crutchfield because I know how much you've worked hard. I mean, I've seen the training, I've seen what you've done, and I gotta say this. So, we can all be admired by what you're doing. We can all be, admired by just the heart that you have. And if there was like any little kids or any just like young people that are wanting to start, the fighting industry, do you have any advice that you would definitely want to share with them?
Yeah, embrace it, go all in. I tell everybody this. Like, I wish I would have started at a much younger age. I did. I started pretty young as a child, but now you have kids. Like, I coach at the gym and we have micro monkeys starting at 4 years old. So 4-year-old kids that are in here training kickboxing, Muay Thai, jujitsu, like, doing everything. And I love it because I think that everybody from age 4 to 100 should have martial arts in their life because it teaches you so much. And not only, like, as especially as a kid, like, it's going to teach you not to be a bully and you won't be bullied. Like, it teaches you so many great life lessons. So I would definitely encourage any young people, parents, get your kids into some type of martial arts, even if it's not to compete, like, just having that set of skills. It's amazing.
I definitely thought about this because whenever I was in middle school, I actually got bullied, and there was a gym up at Oceana, is what the town was called. And when I first started going there, if you're watching this and you have been bullied, the thing is that once we start getting trained, no matter what style, boxing, kickboxing, whatever it may be, it's all that frustration you have. You can just let it out. You can just let it out just by one punch, because it will help you a lot, along the way. And it's kind of random, but I feel like I want to get a chance to throw that out there, especially with how much we've seen the generations going on. And
Yeah, definitely.
my friend, have got a chance to be what I call is the next generation of women's fighters. Do you ever feel like this next generation of women's fighters that are continuing headlining all these events? Do you feel like that with where we are today as far as the women's martial arts, that things are about to get bigger from here?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, this entire sport is about to like this next generation. It's going to be so hard to jump into it in like your late 20s and then be signed with the UFC in 3 years. Like that's happened in the past. That's still happening now. But with this next generation of fighters, like I said, they're starting to train all aspects of the game at such a young age. Like when
Yeah.
I started, there wasn't like an MMA gym around. Like it was like I have this boxing gym. There wasn't even like really kickboxing. This is all still like so new, but now these generations of fighters, they're starting to train the jujitsu, the kickboxing, everything at such a young age. Like this next generation, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited to see it because like right now I do feel like there's that gap in the women's division. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There is
Yeah.
like the really really good, and then it's like, oh, okay, like there's just that gap, and I feel like you're going to start to see that even out throughout the next few years.
And I definitely do agree with you. I definitely agree with you. And not only that, be it, there's also like promotions that are doing things that we finally get a chance to see. I don't know if you heard about it. XFN, they have a women's heavyweight division now, so
Yeah.
it's always awesome to see that. And plus, with what we've been seeing with the UFC and bare knuckle and Bellator, I mean, we're seeing so much. Plus, I mean, women get a chance to the main event Madison Square Garden in April. How about that? I mean.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's cool to see. I remember at one point Dana saying that women would never fight in the UFC. Like, look at us now.
And I mean, you also got to think about this though. What started it was, I think it was like Ronda Rousey, Misha Tate, Kat Zingano. I think I didn't want to butcher her name, but you get what I'm saying though. It's like
Yeah.
we're seeing more of that. And talk about your fighting career. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're currently 3-2 as an amateur, right?
No, I am 2-2 as an
Two and
amateur.
two.
I think on
Two and
there
two.
I had an LFA fight, but it was kickboxing.
Okay, okay. I didn't
That's what's
know,
on there.
but
Yeah.
do you have a fight that you are looking back that you want to remember before you go to pro? Is there any fights that you're looking back and you think, wow, that fight was just so incredible that I will never forget it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if I look back on all the experiences I've had throughout boxing and kickboxing and MMA, I mean, this sport has taken me all around the world. It's taken me to Italy, to Bosnia, to Canada, like Mexico. Like I've been everywhere with this sport. So there are so many highlights, but I would probably say this is gonna sound weird because it's not like an MMA thing or anything. But
Hmm.
it was no, it's when I won the Junior Olympics. I was like 16 years old. But
Hmm.
me and my coach, like me and Lamar, we went through everything together. He's like my dad. But he was my boxing coach, and we had went the first year I went to Junior Olympic Nationals. He ended up having a heart attack like while we were there. Couldn't corner me. Some other guy had to corner me. I got beat up, like completely just slaughtered. Like it was a terrible experience. And like after that, I was so upset. And I remember like this is the only time me and Lamar ever really got into it. I was sparring in the gym, and I was sparring with this little kid, Ernie. And Ernie was just like piecing me up. And I threw my gloves down and I was like, I'm not getting any better. And I was mad. And then he like picked that glove up and he threw it at me. And he's like, you get back over here. But we had like this long heart to heart. And then we go back the next year and I ended up winning gold. I fought 5 days in a row. I would like get up in the morning, weigh in, rehydrate a little bit, fight, and then cut weight that night. And I did that because you weigh in every day for boxing. So I
Hmm.
did that every day for a week. And then really, like, the last fight I had was probably the easiest fight of the entire tournament, and I just smoked this girl. And I just remember, like, getting out of the ring and, like, him being there and my dad, like, my mom was FaceTiming me. It was just an amazing feeling. But it was like the Junior Olympics for boxing.
Talk about your parents. I mean, your dad has been the most encouraging person when it comes to what you're trying to do. I mean, how much do you think they feel about, especially with what you're doing now? I mean, obviously they gotta be very very supportive. I'm assuming, right?
Oh my goodness. I've been so blessed when it comes to my parents. Like I said, from day one, like my dad has never missed a fight. And like he literally traveled. He lives in South Carolina still. He traveled 5.5 hours to come see me grapple in a Naga tournament, like just for the day.
Wow.
Like my
Wow.
dad, he's the biggest support I could ever ask for. But my mom, she's in the same boat. She was always the one, like when I would leave, me and my dad would go travel. She was staying at home with my brother and my rest of my family. But she's always been the biggest supporter I could ask for. My parents are amazing.
That is very, very incredible to say the least. You know what? As we go on through our fighting career, I mean, and you want people to know exactly the type of fighter you are. What would you want, our viewers or anyone out there know exactly who you are, especially when it comes to me, Anna Crutchfield as the fighter?
As a fighter, I want to be known and I want to be respected as a mixed martial artist, like a complete martial artist, because I think that's something. When I look at especially the flyweight division, like you have these, oh, well, she's a jujitsu fighter, oh, she's a boxer, she's a striker, and I've been known as just that striker for so long. Like I'm not just a striker; I am a complete, full-rounded martial artist. Like I think that's one of the most impressive things when I look at Valentina Shevchenko. Like she's a martial artist all the way around. You don't look at her and be like, oh, that's just a Muay Thai fighter, because then you see her grapple and you just see how well-rounded she is in every aspect of her game and complete. And I would say like that's exactly what I aspire to be. Is just a complete, well-rounded martial artist.
Well, hey, I appreciate you so much for joining me along. But yeah, I have one final question, or two more final questions, might I add. Is Are you planning on doing any tournaments this year? Is there any tournament that you're trying to go out and trying to be a part of?
Right now, like I said, I have that Gamma World Championships that will be in Amsterdam, and that's a
Mhm.
tournament, so we'll be fighting every day. It's MMA. But yeah, I'm going to do as many jujitsu tournaments as I can this year, whether it be like Naga, IBJJF, whatever it is. I know there's one in March in Charleston, South Carolina. I was thinking about trying to make work if I can make it work with this fight in Amsterdam.
I mean, it's definitely worth it for sure. And one final question is what's next for you right now? After you just got done winning this fight, is what's next for you?
Jumping right back in there, like I said, I have this fight at the end of March and then April, but I want to fight at least every like 6 to 8 weeks this year. So
Mhm.
my plan is to go grinding as hard as I can, pedal to the metal for the next year, and then make that switch and go pro.
Well, hey, in case you guys want to get a chance to follow Anna, you guys can get a chance to follow her at a crutch 18. She has been on a roll. I mean, you guys can check out her fight on Cage of the Titans or any other Instagram. I know B2's got your fight. And is there any final comments you want to say before we hop off the air?
No, just thank you, Jake. You have been awesome. Your support and your page has been amazing from the start. So I can't thank you enough for all the love you show all female fighters, not just me. You show everyone the love, and I love that. But I have to thank, of course, everyone here at Spartan Fitness, my tribe. You guys are awesome. And then Guy Dama. They're my sponsors when it comes to my fight shorts and everything like that. So any ladies grappling MMA, check out them. Guy Dama USA. You can check them out on Instagram. They're also in my bio.
Well, real quick, I have to do this because it's always an honor to get a chance to have an incredible fighter like you join along. But I am not worthy. I'm not worthy of all this because once when I have you part of the page, I'm like, she's a tremendous fighter, and I'm gonna keep grinding for you and for many other women's fighters out there. So if you guys have not got a chance to, make sure to follow the Fighting Out on Instagram. Make sure to follow her on Instagram as well, 8crutch18. Anna, I appreciate you so much for joining, and I hope we get a chance to have you back to the StreamYard studios here soon.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Jake. You've been awesome.
Hey, have a great one.
Bye.
All right, that was Miss Anna Crunchfield. We just had an amazing time with her. Thank you so much for joining me. And we get ready to head over to back here again at 3:30 because we have Miss Anna Tool that's going to be joining me here and just later on. So I encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any interviews. But hey, until Anna Tool, I am Jake saying so long, and we'll see you guys later on.